Welcome to the Goblin Abyss video development blog 2. If you've seen our first video, you will know the Goblin Abyss is an action RPG game set in an underground world full of goblins and creatures. It's still very early in development and there is a lot of polish and effects missing from the final product. We wanted to start showing things early and hopefully get some feedback from fans of the genre to make this the best action RPG on iOS. At the moment we're working on a new level, our first boss fight, which actually needs about 3 new characters as well as the boss. Hopefully it'll be finished soon and I'll be able to show you some of it in a future video. Until then, I wanted to show you how we got started, some of our early tests which helped us work out what the iPhone 4 was capable of and how the characters are created. Being a technical artist, my first thoughts on the game were polygon counts. This is initially for iPhone and I wasn't sure about the polygon limits, texture sizes, etc. So I made some simple scenes that could be tested on my phone. The iPhone doesn't have the power of a PC or PS3 and its graphics capabilities are very limited in comparison. There is a limited number of polygons that can be displayed on screen at any one time and I needed to work out a rough number for this before starting on any 3D models. And this is the first test. As you can see, it's not the best looking game, but it gave me a better understanding of what I could do with the iPhone. This might not look very good, but it has a number of animated characters, simple background of light mapping. There's also some animated sprites for the torch flames. The test ran at 60 frames per second on an iPhone 4 with no problems at all, so I started duplicating the characters until it had problems. I gave up after 20 characters. But I had a baseline of just over 1,200 polygons for my characters. From here I started to work on the barbarian character. I started with a high-res character so that I could generate extra texture maps, things like normal maps and ambient occlusion maps, to help make the character look more solid. I used the high-res character as a base and created a very low-res version which I was able to transfer all the texture and lighting information to. This is the current barbarian that is in the game now. He's around 1,200 polygons and you can see all the details that are in the high-res version transferred over to his texture map, so he looks a little higher res than he really is in game. Next I created the animation rig. I needed to add all the joints and set up the deformations and animation controls so he could be posed and animated. He's a pretty standard Maya rig. He has IK forward K arms and legs, both of which can be blended between. His body has a spline IK setup, which allows me to move his shoulders and his hips independently. Of course there's also a main root control so I can move his hips and his shoulders as one. You might also notice that as I rotate the body, his head and his forward K arms stay in world space. They can also be switched to local space, just in case I want them to follow the body. As you can see, the shadow is also built into the animation rig. It always follows the hips on the ground plane, but I also have the control to override it if I need to. From here, I was able to start on some of his animation. This is the jog animation, which was the first one I created. His basic attack animation consists of 3 sword swings, which can be strung together to allow longer attacks. Here's some of his special attacks, which are activated through the attack menu. The goblins in the game use the same animation rig, so they can all share animations, which saves a lot of animation time and memory. Of course they will also need lots of custom animations, and clothing. They will have more than just a loincloth soon. We still have a lot more creatures to model, rig and animate, but now that the testing has been done, I know what sort of polygon and rig limitations I have for the iPhone. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching this update. Please keep an eye out for our next video and don't forget to visit thegoblinAbyss.com for more information about the game.